Okay. We're here. We are here. Where are you from? What's he doing? What's happening?
Hi, I'm Jim Carroll with Advanced Solutions. We're a gold and founding partner of Acumatica, and this is a short video on why we're just so excited about the Acumatica ERP product. We're excited because it provides such great competitive advantage to our customers, and from the standpoint of an enterprise resource planning or ERP tool, this business system provides twice the return on investment compared with older ERP systems. It represents a change in paradigm, and I'm going to describe briefly how it does that. But when you look at things like the technology paradigm changes in the past, like the steam engine or the press or the integrated circuit, net, they allowed people to do a lot more for a lot less money. And that's true of Acumatica. When you look at an evolution of ERP, the Association of Inventory Control and Production Specialists, or APICS, started off with MRP, or Material Requirements Plan, back in the 70s, which allowed you to time phase purchases of products. And then we added sales order entry to it and capacity planning and purchasing and kind of filled out the suite. And the software at those days was hierarchical, extremely expensive. Hardware cost $250,000 for a smaller system, couple million for the larger system. Programming to generate a report was in the 5 figures. Big time expense. So the large companies purchased it, and it really wasn't until the 90s with the advent of some of the relational databases, the beginning SQL systems, the PIC-based systems, that this technology and what was then known as MRP2, because it closed the loop and combined sales with purchasing and inventory and the material and capacity requirements plans. And then in the later 90s, the graphical user interface on a relational database, which revolutionized the technology in terms of making it less expensive for folks to make changes with the technology, appeared. And then in this century, you had the first generation cloud or SaaS-based products, and Salesforce.com spearheaded that. It took hold. They did a phenomenal job in the CRM world, and you then have first generation ERP packages associated with that. They have lots of strengths. One of their downsides, however, is you're kind of handcuffed to that technology. It's a one-size-fits-all on the ERP side now. And secondly, if you decide to make a change, you don't have the application to run your data any longer because you're renting the technology. Acumatica is a paradigmatic change because it's browser-based, and unlike the other SaaS products, you can own Acumatica. So you can deploy it in-house, or you can rent it under the traditional SaaS model. Secondly, Acumatica takes advantage of some newer technologies that have been available since 2007, 2008, when our company started. And so I'm going to describe those in a minute. But those newer technologies, combined with the traditional ERP, are the basis for providing Acumatica to provide a 2x improvement in terms of a return on investment when one invests in ERP. That includes a development environment which allows you to, one, extend the ERP outside of your four walls and include your vendors and your suppliers and your customers into the transaction backbone, which is your accounting system, number one. Number two, integrate with all sorts of third-party products like shipping and warehousing and the like. And then three, all of this is server-based. So the benefit of that is that there's no per-user price. So in the end, Acumatica delivers more functionality at half the price. It's a very, very enticing proposition. So let's take a look at what's happened in the 20th into the 21st century. First of all, you've had hardware that's now super convenient. Integrated circuits get more and more powerful. And when I started off in this business and you bought an ERP system for a $100 million company, you're spending $250,000 on hardware. Now the number's like $10,000. And that's a super, super strong server. Secondly, it was an integration where very, very few people were integrated with the system. You were hardwired. You couldn't really take advantage of the Internet. Lots of silos of information. And to go from one system to another one, you either had a human being literally copying data from one to the other, or you had a situation where someone had to write a very expensive interface and then maintain that interface as different companies went up versions, and it was basically an expensive proposition. Standards for different programs that were developed by different companies just didn't exist. So how do you find out, the cost of shipping, as an example, from various suppliers and be able to shop online? Well, you spend $10,000, $15,000 for a company that does that for you. That's all changed with Acumatica. It's now go to the Internet, take advantage of today's web services, and notwithstanding the initial setups, which is measured in, low four figures, you don't have this extra cost that you did. You've got this notion of stateless computing, and that means the same program that runs on your Android tablet or your Macintosh computer or your cell phone, etc., runs on the tower that you have at the office. So two big things happened in 2007. You had the introduction of the iPhone and the introduction of what's known as Hypertext Markup Language, or HTML5. And that provided for a standard that all sorts of companies that develop web apps adhere to. And then the iPhone proved the whole notion of mobility, where one could bring data via the Internet and the World Wide Web to someone's fingertips in a mobile fashion. Acumatica developed ERP with those standards in mind, and that's why it provides the bang for the buck. So one law that I want to specifically look at is known as Metcalfe's Law. And I like this because I've been in this business for a while, and everybody complains about silos of information and one source of data, and having a meeting where people are arguing over who's got the right data in terms of inventory levels or accounts or financials, etc. With today's technology, you can look at one source of data and share it. And when you actually look at the math, it's geometric in nature. When you've got 100 people on 10 different networks and you count all the connections, it's 450. When you have the same 100 people on one network, it's almost 5,000 connections. And the benefit of that is the speed of information, the speed of decision making, and that translates into lower cost and better customer support. So the mobility that Acumatica provides puts the transaction backbone, the thing that correlates your supply chain to your accounting, where your customers and your vendors are, and allows people to get pertinent data at their fingertips. So it's like the app for that your kids use in terms of going out and getting music and all that good stuff. Only now we're talking about industrial strength enterprise resource planning. So you involve anyone on any device, anywhere. So now I'm going to give you an example of what we're talking about and how this is a total paradigmatic change in terms of what can be done. And I'm going to let one of our founders, John Howell, take it from here on a little YouTube that he put together.
A cool benefit of web-based applications is they can be very easily integrated with each other. So what this means is that different companies can independently develop apps, yet because of the web standards and things like cheap computing and cheap bandwidth, the applications can be integrated with almost no effort on the part of the end user. No programmers, no IT staff, and so forth. For example, here is an Acumatica screen. On the left is the menu, which we recognize. On the top, we have more navigation choices. And in the middle part of the screen, we have the form itself, displaying the data. My web browser is Google Chrome, and I've already loaded an extension called Google Translate, and you can see the icon right up here in the upper right. So now to show you how the integration works, I can click on this icon, and it will let me now translate into one of over 70 different languages. In this case, I picked Italian. So I can say, translate. And you can see that very quickly, the screen has been translated, and it's including the menu options over here on the left. So the menu's translated. The choices up here on the top are translated for navigation. Even things like the content of the selections inside of buttons has been translated, as well as this detail here that came from the database. So I'm not actually translating the data itself. I'm just translating what is shown here. So the database remains intact. And of course, I can skim to another record, and the translation will automatically be done if I have the option set that way, or I can have it be done manually. So obviously there are limits to the quality of translations produced by Google Translate, but the real point here is just to show you an example of things you can easily do with web-based apps that would take tons of work to do otherwise. There are many other examples, of course. Tax calculations, shipping calculations, integrations with CRM, and other business applications. Well, okay, I think you get the idea. It's all pretty cool and opens up a world of possibilities that were previously cost prohibitive.
Thank you, John. Now, in the late 80s, early 90s, I was involved with large MRP2 systems, and I remember working on a quote for a translation of the system, and the number came out somewhere near $100,000. And now you go to Google Translate, you push the button, and it happens automatically because of these standards. Now, certainly the vernacular of Google has to be adapted to ERP, so it's not as slam bam as the demo there. You've got to do some adjustments. But on the other hand, you get the point of the tremendous cost savings in terms of integration. So this is a representative client that we have. And they've got an internet site to do their sales. They also sell directly on traditional four-wall kind of sales over the phone. They've got a third-party warehouse. They do business with vendors where they do contract manufacturing for them. They've got customers that access the system to find out where shipments are and RMA situations and the like. And Acumatica handles all of this with 3 or 4 major integrations, shipping content and costs and the like, and 1/3 the cost compared to other systems in the mid-market that we've worked with. It's a revolutionary change from terms of an ROI. When you look at this, well, how does that happen? And I put together a graph here that just talks about our price per user, because it's a flat price on the server, kind of generates for a 20, 30 user system to about $1,000 a user versus $2.5 for free that's in the market today. And then you go ahead and look at the fact that we can integrate customers and vendors into the equation at no additional cost, let alone CRM at no additional software cost. There is training cost, of course. The system utilizes today's technology to provide auto alerts and tasks and the like. And that means that you can manage by exception. And that's by setting easy-to-set switches in the system. Excel adheres in Office products to these standards that we're talking about in terms of integration. So we're talking about taking an Excel-like inquiry out of Acumatica, pushing a button, taking the data out to Excel, pushing a button in Excel that says link, and then that data in that Excel program is automatically refreshed every time you hit the button in Excel. You don't even have to go into the ERP system. So just think of that in terms of cost savings and the ability to put tools into your customers' hands to empower them. And by customers, I mean your employees in your company. We can integrate with other web applications like John mentioned, shipping and the like. Another feature is that the system designed to take documents, whether they're PDFs or videos, from any type of source and link it not only to a technology database, but also directly to a transaction. So if you're doing a project and you want to make sure everybody's signed up with certifications and you want to link those certifications to the actual task in a project, you can do that. So another example of how Acumatica provides you cost-saving benefits that empowers your people to do their job better for your customers. This is kind of a repeat of what I just said, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but you can look at all the various things that Acumatica can do in terms of using the system. And one of the things I like to say is Acumatica is like having a 7x24 behind-the-scenes employee that doesn't cost you anything, that does all these rote activities that you pay good money for today automatically. At Advanced Solutions, we've been around since 1998, and our personnel have been around for longer than that. ERP is our passion, as well as serving the mid-market. And these are some of the things that we've done utilizing the leading-edge technologies of Acumatica in terms of the development environment. We've got a price negotiator that allows the salesman to allow she or he to negotiate price with a customer while on the phone, see the effect of margin and the effect of commission, also including the effect of whether or not freight is for free. Plus, they can go punch out and look at the freight, whether from UPS or FedEx or USPS or others, and determine what the best deal is for the customer in terms of the price performance and that the customer is willing to pay for. And if it's free, whether that affects, and it will, margin and correlating to that, commissions. Auto alerts. Every time that a shipment goes to one of your major customers, the salesperson or the boss gets an email on their cell phone to alert them to the fact, or an automatic advanced ship notice directly to the customer. Integrations to the 3PL. We did a thing where the OEM has a relationship with the end user, although the business flows through the distributor. And so there's pricing on a per deal, per product, per customer basis. Would have taken months to develop, and we were able to do it in a week with the Acumatica tool set. And then integrations to banks and website integration. There's a tool that allows you to integrate, and it ties in all the attributes and sales categories and SEO, etc. The point is, one source of data with Acumatica. In closing, where does all this come to be? And if you look at your financial statements, with Acumatica, because of the better running ERP, the green on this chart is kind of a soft savings in terms of if you've got more empowered people, the thought is that you can sell more. But certainly, if you've got more efficient processing, you need less personnel in your G&A. If you can do better management of inventory, your cost of goods sold and your cost of sales goes down. If you've got better management of getting your invoices out in a timely fashion, your days sales outstanding goes down, which means your working capital costs go down. As do better inventory management, your carrying costs go down. So there's all sorts of benefits to this, and why, from our standpoint, not only is the software less expensive, the implementation more efficient, but the ongoing use of the software provides benefit for the customer. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you on Acumatica.